Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, boys, we're talking about The Fly from 1986, starring the great Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, John Getz, directed by obviously such a great director, David Cronenberg. I mean, this is a classic. Let's just
Mhm.
get that out of the way, guys. Am I right or am I right?
You were right,
Yeah, you
100%.
are.
All right, all right. I just want to throw that out there. Kill, obviously we talked about this before
Mhm.
on the old channel. This was a really, and I really do mean it, a favorite episode of mine. So I'm so glad that we're able to, kind of get back to it and redo it. I'm glad Eric is with us again this week.
My pleasure.
Um, it's awesome to have you, man, as always. Let's do this. Let's see who's in the chat. I'll get a quick take from you guys, and then we'll get going with the intro proper and see where we go.
Cool.
Let's see. We got James in the chat. He's saying that he is here. What's going on, James? How you doing, man? And Neil's in the chat saying, "Hey guys, what's going on?"
Hey.
Ginger Ninja
Ninja
saying,
Ninja.
"Hey everyone, looking forward to this one. Hope you're all doing well." Absolutely, man. Nice to see you.
Mhm.
James saying Jeff Goldblum is fantastic as Seth Brundle. He really is. He really is. There's no doubt. David also saying the movie was produced by Mel Brooks. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And James said he's doing okay. That's good to hear, man.
Good.
Uh, Wolvie saying hi. What's going on? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. All right, guys. Let's just start going with this a little bit and give people, another minute or two to jump in the chat with us if they choose to do so. I'll start with you, Kill.
Mhm.
I almost don't even want to say the words because I'm just so excited. But just give me a quick take on what this movie means to you, man.
Well, this movie it has a special place in both of our hearts.
Yes.
Because we growing up, we loved this movie, loved it, loved
Love
it.
that.
um, I mean, look, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, but one thing that just sticks out is the chemistry between uh, um, Gina Davis and Jeff
Jeff
Goldberg.
Goldblum.
Um, Jeff, he's so intelligent, yet he's
Mhm.
naive, yet he's innocent, yet he has such a great turn. And
Yes.
Gina Davis is smart, funny, vulnerable, strong, all in there. And
Hmm.
she genuinely has love for him. And it sticks with him through some shit. Okay,
Right.
so that's all I'm gonna say for now. But this movie is amazing, and it still holds up. It's
Right.
crazy. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. How about you, Eric? What do you got for a quick take on this thing, man?
Oh shit! Kill pretty much said all I was going to say, but but no, I can add to that. Not just the chemistry, how tough Gina Davis's character is, because she's not just there to look sexy and play off of Jeff. I think they were married at the time when this came out, because I know they were dating
Hmm.
before, but they
Yep.
have that chemistry. You can tell the love
Oh
is
yeah.
there. And like I always like to bring up tonight, this isn't just, a gore movie, a science fiction movie. It's a love
Yes.
story.
Yes.
And we'll get into that more. But what I also like, my main thing that I really love is Jeff Goldblum's obsession with get this experiment as he's going from stage to stage to stage of the
Hmm.
mutation. And again,
Absolutely.
great practical body horror effects that we always get from Cronenberg.
Yeah, absolutely,
Memorable.
man. Oh, so memorable, man. I mean, I've seen this movie a lot of times, as you alluded to, Kill. This is a special movie for us when we were kids, watching this with our mom and so forth. And it still does hold up, man. I mean, not that I expect it to degrade over time, but just watching it, I'm like, my God, man, this movie, it still is a home run on all levels. I mean, I love a lot of movies. We talk a lot about a movie. We talk a lot about a lot of movies, but this is one of those movies that it still is at that level,
Mhm.
and nothing has changed. This is just
Mhm.
like it was in '86. But anyways, we're gonna get further into this for you guys in the chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're gonna take a second to get finished getting set up. So for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax. You know what time it is. Okay, man. Let's get down to brass tacks. I'm just seeing scenes from this movie is just getting me going, man. Kill, I'll start with you, man. What are some things that come to your mind, like either for favorite scenes or favorite moments or things that stick out to you? If you were to explain to someone why The Fly from 1986 is such a classic.
Well, like Eric said, it is a romance movie.
Hmm.
And if you watch this movie from the start to like a certain demarcation point, you would think it was a romantic comedy. Okay?
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
good
Right,
point.
and I think we all know like the point, and then it turns to like, okay, it's like a drama. It's still not fully horror. It's
Hmm.
drama now, and Seth is doing some stuff, going to some sleazy bars, doing some dirt, and then we get into sci-fi horror. And
Yes.
I mean, for me, movies like this where you have actors and actresses just giving just some of the greatest performances of both of their careers, and
Mm.
having the chemistry, having the director, having the special effects,
Hmm.
having the score, the soundtrack, all of it just
Yes.
Yep.
working
Oh,
into conjunction.
yes.
And please don't remake this movie. If you guys whoever has the rights to this, please, you don't need it. This movie is perfect. And if you're like me, and I would assume like us, if you love Jeff Goldblum, this he is so much Jeff in this movie. So many of the mannerisms, and him just
Hmm.
being like awkward but sweet, and just
Charming.
charming and obsessive, all combined. And one of my favorite scenes is pretty much the opening sequence of him trying to get her to believe him.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And he, he's kind of flirting. He's like, well, I'm gonna need something, like some jewelry or
Personal.
something personal. And then, she, Gina Davis, who's a beautiful, beautiful woman, rolls down her stocking, and he just is like, oh, he just,
Yeah.
you know,
What's his bluff?
and he grabs it, and he just like feels. He's like, this,
Nice.
I can work with
Yeah.
this. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that sequence,
Hmm.
and Gina Davis is great as always. So that's one of
Yeah.
my favorite ones. So.
Yeah. That's what's great
Okay.
about her character is she can tell he's trying to subtly put the moves on him. So that's why she
Hmm.
chooses the stocking. She's like, okay, buddy, let's see if I can put the moves back on him. And then I think she caught him
Hmm.
off guard, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I
Yeah.
like with the scene.
Yeah.
Mhm,
No,
mhm.
she was definitely amazing. How about you, Eric? I mean, what are some of the things that pop into your head, as favorite moments or just things that stand out that you would tell someone about if they had never seen The Fly?
Oh, see, that's tough because, like we've said, it's different movies all into one. We have
Yeah.
the romance, we have the drama, we have the science fiction, we have the gore. So
Hmm.
the only way you could really say it, it's a mixed bag. You would have to let the person know what they're getting into,
Hmm.
because my wife likes sci-fi, my wife likes horror, but if I didn't warn her about this film, she probably wouldn't enjoy how gory it is towards the end.
Hmm. Yeah.
But the thing is, if you can handle gore and practical effects and stuff like that, you could really get into it because it's great characters.
Hmm.
That's what,
Yeah.
like, me.
Yeah.
I always give you guys crap, like when we're talking Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. When it's characters I don't care about for 90 minutes, I don't
Hmm.
care.
That's right.
You love these characters from the beginning, and you truly love them both to the
Hmm.
very end.
Yep.
And
It's very true.
the end is probably my favorite scene, which I won't talk about now. We'll talk about when we get to it. But it's that, and then I guess my highlight for this movie is just the whole different stages he goes from
Yes.
the other. I guess the easiest way to say it is decomposition of his
Yep.
body,
Yeah.
and then
Absolutely.
seeing him, arm wrestle. We know the arm wrestling scene, the scene in front of the
Oh.
mirror, and so on. It's just I can handle gore. I can't handle that scene in front of the mirror. We'll say that.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes. Yes. Well, the thing that gets me is that it's such a smart movie
Mm-hmm.
without making you feel dumb as a viewer. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
even as kids, Kill, when we watched this, I got it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there were things to see deeper as I got older, but even as a young, person, I could get it. And again, Jeff Goldblum, this was a role that it was just it was perfect for him. He was able to use all of the things that he had inside of him to its best. And it's funny because he was not the original choice for this role. And they
Right.
did not even think he was the right person for it, not just because of him, but even just his facial structure and so forth, because they were thinking about how they were going to do the practical makeup and all of that type
Mm,
of stuff. And they were like, he's got too big of a nose. I can't work with that, and all these other little things. And this movie still worked. Cronenberg wasn't even going to direct this movie. He originally was going to work on Total Recall, that eventually went to
Ooh.
Verhoeven. Now, don't get me wrong,
hmm
it would have been interesting seeing a David Cronenberg Total Recall movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
And it's funny because I think he said something like he wrote like multiple drafts of Total Recall, and he
hmm
went to Ron Shusett, who was the producer, famous producer, because they also worked on also worked on Alien and other stuff like that. But anyways, and he said, "Well, you did the Philip K. Dick version of Total Recall," and Cronenberg says, "Well, isn't that what I'm supposed to do?" And and Ron said, "No, you're not supposed to do that version. We want the version that's basically the Total Recall Raiders of the Lost Ark combo." You know what I'm saying? So,
hmm
anyways, long story short, it worked out good for both movies because I
Yeah.
love both movies. But Cronenberg came over to this because there was also the original director had a tragedy, so he had to leave. So, in other words, it's just like destiny is what I'm getting at. But
hmm
it all worked out for the best. It's such a smart film, and the music kill. I just want to say this one more thing, and I'll pass it to you. But the music is so awesome. And do you know what I was thinking when I was watching it yesterday? And this is gonna sound so stupid coming from me, because especially you, Kill. I know you know this, but Howard Shore did the music, right? This is 1986. I was watching the movie, and I know I've thought about this before, but I didn't think I'd talk about it in this episode. But I could hear like little shadows of things that I've heard before, and I'm like, oh shit, that's right. That's in another favorite movie of mine with one of my favorite actors of all time and one of my favorite actresses of all time, the Silence of the Lambs. And you can hear some, I would play it right now, but you know how YouTube is, but you
hmm
can
Oh yeah.
hear some of the parallels and similarities in both movies. And in both movies, the music, Howard Shore was amazing as the composer. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there because when I put two and two together, I was like, oh my God, I got to talk about that too. Just fantastic score. But Kill,
Hmm. Hmm.
obviously, Seth creates this teleportation machine, these pods. It can't teleport living people. It can't, living tissue. It can only do inanimate objects. What did you think about how this thing between him and Veronica, Ronnie, was going at that point? They're trying to figure out how to get past this, and he talks about the flesh, and you see that scene where he uses the stake. What do you think about some of those types of scenes? Because I thought it was great for their romance building.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome because Ronnie, her the way she thinks is obviously different than the way Seth
Ye-
thinks, but
yes.
she is very intelligent, and sometimes someone who's too smart can't see the easy kind of answer.
Yep.
And
Yes.
the way they stumbled upon it was her pretty much kissing him and just saying, I want to eat you up like, those old grandmas that want to eat the kids' cheeks. And,
Yes.
I'm crazy for your flesh. And he's like,
Yep.
oh, wait a second, and he's like, I haven't taught the computer to be crazy for the flesh,
Right.
and it's just so brilliant. And then, of course, the steak, it's like, you know, taste this one. It needs a little bit more finesse, and then the other one, oh, this tastes synthetic. This is weird.
Yes,
And
yes.
I love just the way they bounce off of one another,
Good
because it
point.
just seems, for one, it seems natural. It
It
seems so
does.
natural, and you can tell when actors have just a natural
hmm
chemistry.
Hmm.
And one thing, and maybe they do tell us this, I'm not really sure how many weeks the testing has been going on.
Hmm.
I can't really tell if it's a short period of time or if it's a long period of time, but she is essentially, his assistant or, partner,
Hmm.
chronicling all of this because if he does get this work, this will change the world. you
Right?
know, and it all sprung from the fact that he gets car sick and plane
Yes,
sick and seasick.
Hmm.
So,
exactly.
I mean, this seems like, just a true kind of relationship that you would have with someone who's like a brilliant scientist or inventor, and then maybe their spouse or their partner
Hmm.
or just their assistant. So I
Yeah.
I I, I love the sequence, and every time I see it, it makes me want steak.
And
I don't.
you nailed it perfectly because you said they play off each other real well. I love the part where she finds out that he cooked it in the telepod. She's like, a monkey just came out of there.
He's
Yes,
like, yeah, don't worry about that. It's fine. I
Yeah.
I
cooked
know, right?
it.
So there's they like you said that's the romantic comedy of this
Yes.
movie pulling through, and it's
Hmm.
because of their chemistry. And I want to say this, like we all love Jeff Goldblum. There was a period where he, in my opinion, he kind of became a parody. He's always playing the scientist. He's always got the
Hmm.
ticks and the goofy
Yes.
stuff. And
Hmm.
I'm so happy now because of the MCU. He's kind of had this resurgence. You know what I mean?
Yes. Hmm.
But in this, you buy it. He's not over the
Shoot.
top. He's not
Hmm.
goofy. He's got all the science stuff that we don't know what the hell he's saying, but we go with it because
Hmm.
he's so believable in this role.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And this is one thing that I also love about this movie. First of all, these two are magnificent, right?
Mm.
And they have a certain rhythm, right? But then, Kill, you know who I'm going to talk about.
Uh
It's our boy Stathis.
Yeah.
oh.
John gets himself. Look, man, he's
Oh
so
man.
slimy, but I absolutely loved his character because he was just so damn slimy
You,
and charismatic.
Oh
you know,
God. What?
this character wouldn't fly today, right?
Oh
Oh
no, not at
no!
all.
Isn't it the first time we see him? He's already taken a shower in Ronnie's apartment.
Well, I think that's the second time. The first time was when
Okay.
she came to him with the
With
story,
the
and he's like,
information.
"This guy's a charlatan.
Yeah.
This is stupid."
He fell for it. It's a nightclub routine. I just like his he's such a he's a good supporting actor, man, because he
Hmm.
just has this thing that bounces so well off of Gina Davis. It
Hmm.
really
Yes.
it's very believable. But every time he was in a scene, boom, I was just tuned into him. And not to jump ahead, but it's so funny because he's such a slimy guy. I mean, he's not an evil person, but he's cocky, he's arrogant, he's high and mighty, and he's a womanizer basically, right? So he's
Mm.
slimy, right? And then you've got Seth, who he's a good guy, he's want to help humanity and this and that. And as Seth, goes down that rabbit hole, it's almost like Stathis has those moments where he becomes like heroic because he comes
Yeah.
to Ronnie's aid, and it
Hmm.
just shows
Yeah.
it just shows the arcs of these characters and how there's these gray areas. And those are sometimes the best movie characters that you could ever hope for,
And Stathis is I was drawing a blank on the actor, who I was thinking of. He reminds me a lot of characters James Spader plays. They're
Yes.
not good people, but the
Yes.
charisma gets you.
Hmm.
So you're like,
Yes.
you don't want to turn the TV off when they're on the screen. You're like,
Mm.
Yes.
either I want to see this guy have a redemption moment or get his comeuppance, and
Yes.
you're just the tractor beams are right there whenever he's there.
Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about that, man. I mean, and he was definitely that type of character. Now, many people that have seen this movie, they know what happens, but just to kind of touch upon some of these things. So Stathis is Ronnie's ex-boyfriend, but also his boss. So there's all those types of things. He's the one that sent her to find the story, and that's how she met Seth. Long story short, she has to reconcile with that old relationship, and Seth doesn't really understand it all. And watching the movie, watching it through the lens of an adult, I can see where there was that miscommunication where he didn't really understand where she was coming from and how she was kind of just so preoccupied that she didn't give Seth enough information and stuff like that. Well, Kill, that led down to a very dangerous path because we all know what happened next. He decides
Yep.
to go into the telepod himself without Ronnie there. He's going to videotape it. And he was drunk, by the way, too. So that did
Hmm.
play part of it, too. And there's our little friend right there, a housefly, gets in with him, and that's it's over from there. And it's funny because when you're watching the movie, that that's going to happen. So that's not the worst part, right? That's a part that it's called the fly, so you know what's going to happen. But everything afterwards, it was just so gut wrenching, and it got worse and worse and worse. Terrific storytelling. But Kill, tell me, first of all, what did you think of, I guess I want to say, the way they explain the technology, how that might hold up today? Like, because when I watched it, I kept thinking, this still looks great. It's still, I mean, there was, maybe the computer was obviously a little dated, but everything looked great, just like it did back in '86.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to put that out there. They did a Batman Begins, and I'm gonna explain
Yes.
it to you in a second. They explain how he's able to have these things built. He says,
Yes.
well, what I do is I farm the projects out to a part here and make a conductor here and this and that, and they don't know what they're working on, and I just put it all together. Because the
Hmm.
savvy movie person will be like, did he build all that in his like is that Ghostbusters reactor just sitting in their basement? Did they build that? Like, what is that? And
I like that.
The Batman Begins correlation is, well, Bruce subcontracted, this part of his hood and the ears and this part of the suit. And so they never knew what
Hmm.
they were building. I like
Right.
that because that
Yes.
means this director, this writer was thinking about the
Yes.
savvy moviegoer like us that's
Hmm.
like, hmm, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and as far as the technology, I mean, I love that, he had voice activated kind of things, Brundle
Hmm.
Seth, things like that.
Mhm.
And it was just really cool. And of course, when we watch these movies, we just see people typing stuff, and it's
Yes.
like, all right, what does that actually do? I don't know, you
Yeah.
know. But in the context of a science fiction movie, I don't really ask those type of questions. If you give me
Right.
world building around it, like an Alien or Terminator or anything like that, then okay, I'll go with the details and I might not go into the fine minutia. But
Mhm.
Right.
I love the fact that one last thing. The first time when Ronnie comes to his place, he's like, "Yeah, I know how it looks. It's better on the inside. Come on, let's go."
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Because
true too.
yeah, because he's so obsessed with his work, even to the
Mhm.
point where all of his outfits are the same.
Yep.
He's like,
Hmm.
so I don't have to expand thought, power, worrying about what I'm wearing. He is
Hmm.
so focused on this project, and yeah, I admire his passion. You know,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's
yeah.
definitely very believable as a scientist, and
Mhm.
I had no problem with that whatsoever. I totally bought it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even as a kid. But, he goes through the telepod. He comes out, he tells her that he taped it. She kind of makes up with him, so to speak, and they're kind of back on good terms. And that's the other part that was tragic to me as well, because it's like, oh man, this is all just a misunderstanding. Like the first time I saw it, he totally was jealous, but it was all because of a misunderstanding. Not that it would have been any better if it was, for a true reason, but I'm just saying these two actually did have feelings for each other. They
Mhm.
actually did love each other. You could tell that there was a romance there. Now, Eric, once he's out, he explains all that to her, and then he's got all this energy, and he's doing all these amazing things. When you first saw this movie, did that throw you off at all, or what were you thinking? Were you thinking, well, what does he become, a Superman or something?
You know, I the first time I saw this, oh geez, I just knew something was up. I knew the plot that he was going to become, for lack of a better term, a human insect. You know what I mean?
Right. Hmm.
I did not know how strong a fly is considering its size. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or anything like that. And then it was just like I said, it was really cool, like seeing his powers. For a lack of a better word, you know what I mean?
Right. Hmm.
Evolve before
Hmm.
he starts falling apart. And it's just
Hmm.
the little stuff like when they're at the diner, he's putting all the sugar.
Yes.
in his drink. Just the little stuff that I didn't see. That's where I clicked. I knew flies love sugar. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
this is where it was starting for me. And we'll think about it this way: who knew? Like again, Jeff Goldblum, he's this nerdy scientist. That's what he always is in every single movie. Who knew
Hmm.
that he was so jacked up? Like you just had that
Yeah.
still of him
He
when
worked out for this.
he is getting ripped.
Yeah.
For this to to add to the strength that this insect being infused with him is giving him. So
Hmm.
again, that's more commitment to the role.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you don't expect Jeff Goldblum to have muscles. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
he's always the scientist. Or the
Yes.
guy from not the collector, but whoever he played in Ragnarok. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I agree. Yeah, he was definitely committed to this role, and I remember watching. There's this great documentary that was on the release that I actually, and not that I enjoy it more than the movie, but I've watched it many, many times
Hmm.
over the years
Same here.
because it talks about everything from the beginning, the filming, afterwards, and everything. And he was dedicated in this role. He saw something in this role, and it's always nice to hear those types of things, especially if it's a movie you really love. And again, it was lightning in a bottle. It was great, but we got to talk about the arm wrestling scene. Kill, when we first saw this, that got me, man, because I did not expect that. The
Still gets
way
me.
it still gets me, and
It still gets me.
it's fantastic, man. I mean, he's out and about because Ronnie is like, something is wrong with you. When you went through, there was an accident. We have to get you tested and this and that. And of course, he went into that whole tirade about you're jealous. You don't want to be taken apart and put back together and jump into the
Hmm.
plasma pool. Great dialogue and great delivery by Jeff Goldblum, by the way.
Nailed
But
it.
Kill, he did
Mhm.
nail it. But Kill, I mean, just walk me through what you think about this arm wrestling scene. I mean,
Man,
I
why are
know.
you doing this to me,
Well,
man?
hey,
I mean,
well,
come on. I mean,
hey.
look, man, look. Hey, we even have like the same shirt on. Did we even plan that? I don't know, man. Come on, same color and everything. Adidas. Come on. Um, look, I love this movie, but I cringe
Hmm.
every time when this scene comes on. The
Yes.
visuals, the sound effect, and I swear, Knight, if you put that scene up, I see you over there.
Come on, man.
I see you. You want to get a reaction out of me?
Can I put it up there, man? Come on.
Do
Here
your
we
thing.
go. Here we go.
Ah,
Oh,
Huzzah!
it gets
that's
me too,
awesome.
Killian.
I
Oh.
mean, yeah. I mean, well, look,
Hmm.
these guys, they look at Seth and they're like, man, this is easy money. And
He eats
Seth's
a
like,
lot of
hey,
chocolate bars.
yeah. He's like, hey, but if I win, I get her too. And she's like, I'm not a whore. It's like, don't worry, Candy. This is easy money.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a great scene.
Yeah,
It's a cringe-worthy scene, and it's so Cronenberg. That's the
Hmm.
it
best way I'll
is.
say it. This scene is so Cronenberg.
That is true.
That's
I
that's
I,
that's
Yeah.
abs-
that's,
I
that's all I got.
absolutely agree.
Uh,
I absolutely agree. You could feel his DNA all over this movie. I was saying to Coriander, and by the way, she wished she could have been here tonight. She thought that the love story was so well done in this movie, and the
hmm.
horror elevated that. And
Hmm.
interestingly enough, the love story elevated the horror. And I said, "Wow, that's a great way to look at it."
Yeah.
But the thing of it is that this movie had all of these elements that were just working together, and it was a Cronenberg movie, but usually his movies are a little bit more complicated. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? A little bit more out there, let's say. This movie is pretty much straightforward. He creates a machine or helps to put the machine together. It messes up, and then it messes him up and destroys their love relationship. That's basically the whole
Hmm.
movie on paper,
Yeah.
right? But there's so many like little curves in that story, right? And those little Cronenberg touches that, if it was another director, I don't think you would have gotten that. And we'll be talking about The Fly 2 very shortly too, hopefully next week. But it's just interesting how all that worked. And by the way, I just wanted to say hey to Dan. He's in the chat, and he's saying what's up.
Hey.
Hey, Dan.
And yeah, and Denisha was saying, do we think there'll be a remake of this? Anything is possible. in Hollywood? I hope not. And Neil was saying the same thing. I really hope not, but it would not surprise me. All I can say is that this movie is a remake, so I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
sound like all remakes are bad because
Yeah.
this movie is a remake. Last week when we talked about The Blob, that's a remake. So
Mm-hmm.
anything's possible, but this was just so good, you
Look,
know?
and I think I brought this up when we talked to Blob. You know me, I'm a defender of remakes.
Mhm.
I don't see how you could improve on this one,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
my also go-to argument is, let's just say this new generation doesn't know that The Fly coming out in 2032 or whatever is a remake, so it could open them up to this
Yeah.
version. So there's
That's
always
true
that.
too. It's very true. There's no doubt about that. I totally agree with you. But yeah, the arm wrestling scene was horrendous, and obviously we have that scene where he's here's one thing, Eric. Seth is like trying his damnedest to get her to go through the telepod. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like an obsession with
Exactly. Yeah.
him to have other people do it. And it's just seeing Jeff Goldblum, his character, just kind of go down this rabbit hole of being so vicious and kind of mean. It was really a transformation before the transformation, if you get what I mean.
He reminded me of like a drug addict,
He
who
did.
gets someone else hooked.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
want to, just talk about how bad that stuff is, but it's like someone's let's just say it. Someone's hooked on heroin, and then, hey, I want you to try this. No, I don't want you. No, I want you to try this. And he was
Hmm.
going to get her in that telepod, be damned, until Ronnie showed up, and that's what it was. Like I said, it's his descent into
Hmm.
madness, obsession, and literally destroying himself for this one thing. He just
Hmm.
replaced drugs with science.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Can,
Absolutely.
can I just interject one thing?
Mhm.
And it's something that, like, I watched it, and I was just like, and I'm not sure if you were gonna bring it up, but
Mhm.
he went through a second time and it worked.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that,
Yeah.
like, because
See?
to
That's true.
show to show to this young woman that he picked up, he went
Yes.
through, and guess what? No fly went in this time, and it
Mm-hmm.
worked.
Right.
So it's like,
Yes.
when I see that, and I think when I was younger, I didn't really pick up on that. It makes me feel even worse for him,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm.
you did do it. You did it, and it
Mhm.
it does work. The
And
Yes.
world
he,
could be changed, but just make sure there's
Right.
no fruit flies around you
yeah,
or
yeah,
anything.
he got it
So
to
I
work, but
just,
no one will benefit from it.
Right. I
Yeah.
know, and it's a shame. Hey, happy birthday tomorrow, James.
Yeah, happy birthday, James.
hey, happy birthday.
Uh, yeah, no, that's true, man. It does make it pretty damn sad. It
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
really, really does, man. Now, the sad part too is that Gina Davis loves him so much. Ronnie loves him so much that she's trying to help him, even though he just spent the night with another woman, and she's just telling him something is wrong with you. And her delivery, I can't show it. There's no still image of it, and I can't show the video of it. But just her facial expressions and the delivery that she gave as an actress. I think you said it earlier, Kill. This is one of her best performances. It's very nuanced. It's not over the top, and it seems so real. It
Mm-hmm.
just seems so real. But she's trying to help this man because she loves him, and he doesn't want to hear any of it. He's still pissed off. But Eric, here's that part. I think inside there was that part of him, even subconsciously, because he goes to the bathroom
Mm.
and he's thinking about it, right? And he's checking himself out, man,
Ugh.
and just good God, man.
See, Kill, you get the arm wrestling. I still get the bathroom scene, so don't feel too bad.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
I hate
right.
this one gets me too.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I'm not going to get any deeper than here,
Right.
but all I'm saying is that this scene was it was the realization that he started to have. I mean, what do you think, not only of the scene, but just as a character, the evolution at this point, where
What
he's
I
going?
what I loved. I mean, it all starts. Him and Gina Davis. They wake up in the bed, and she's just caressing him, and she feels those little hairs on his back. So
Yes.
it's this slow, methodical turn. And when
Mm-hmm.
we're joking about the bathroom scene, when the teeth and the fingernails and more happen. What really
Right.
sells this scene, and not just being uncomfortable because of the very disgusting practical effects in this, you buy his fear when he's looking in the
Yes.
mirror and he's seeing that he's literally starting to fall apart.
Yes.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, because once he starts mutating more and more, like showing how flies eat, and you
Yes.
know, I don't know if it's like the second to last stage, when he jumps through the window and takes her away from the doctor, stuff like that. This is the
Hmm.
only time you see him afraid of the
Yes.
changes. Because by the
Hmm.
time he says, record me, I'm going to show you, flies have to throw up to eat their food type of thing.
Hmm.
He's back into science mode. I
Yes.
want to know what's going on. This is the only time we see him physically afraid of what he is going through and what could possibly happen.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, and again, with certain actors, well, like I said, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I love this movie, and Jeff Goldblum
Hmm.
was just amazing. Kill, when he had that scene where he uses the computer to find out. Actually, I'll put it up right here. When he's trying to find out what happened, and it's talking about the secondary element, and dude, when it showed that image of the fly, and he said, did Brundle absorb the fly? And the computer basically said negative. There was fusion on the molecular level, and I was just like, even as a kid, man, I
Hmm.
knew. I was like,
Hmm.
oh shit, man. And that look on his face
Yep.
with the music by Howard Shore. Shout out to Howard Shore. This was just amazing stuff,
And
Kill.
see,
I
look at
mean,
that still there. With the makeup, it's just we have the blisters and stuff like that. But look
yes.
on his right hand side, he's got one singular hair sticking out. So that's the
Yes.
attention to detail of
Hmm.
this slow mutation.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Showing it very slowly. I mean,
Hmm.
good God, man. I mean, if only I know I say this a lot, but I'm just saying, if only we could have some more movies like that, with
Hmm.
these practical monster effects. I
Yep.
mean, it's such a lost art. It's
Hmm.
seldom seen. But anyways, but Kill, that scene, man. I mean, I felt scared. Not so much because I was scared of the movie, but I was scared for him. I don't know if
Hmm.
that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, I can remember as a kid watching this and just wondering, like in certain most Hollywood movies, the good guy finds some way to get
To
out of
figure
that
it
that
out.
bad situation, figure it out or win. And
Hmm.
I was like, man, is he gonna be all right? Like
Right.
is he gonna find a cure for this? And yeah, and just his body language, his eyes,
Hmm.
you can just see it all in his face, kind of, shots of terror in his
Hmm.
Yeah.
eyes, like, oh my
Hmm.
God, what did I do?
Hmm.
What's happening to me? And as a man of science, I know one of his fears has to be, will I still be me? Will I still be able to think? Will I lose
Mm.
all, cognitive thought? Will I
Yes.
become this animal, this insect?
Hmm.
What is this?
Hmm.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, and once again, Jeff Goldblum just showed his acting chops too,
He
man.
did,
You
man. I mean,
know.
he had to act under a lot of makeup, man. I
Yep.
mean, when he went through these stages, I'll just show some of these shots, and they were just sad to see as well. I
Hmm.
mean, he's hunched over. I think he had a lot of back pain for a while because he had to portray himself like this, and good God, man. I mean,
Yeah.
just some of the stuff that he was going through, it was just utterly ridiculous. But Eric, the thing that gets me as he goes along, it's almost like he goes through like a phase where he almost kind of gets better. Like he
Hmm.
said, I can climb the wall now. I'm getting used to this thing. And like
Hmm.
you were mentioning about the vomit drop and stuff like that. I mean, and the ticks, the
Yep.
facial ticks. I mean, there was just little things like you said, the attention to detail. I mean, what were some of the, I mean, I guess this is a silly question, but as we get further into its transformation, what were you thinking as far as like what he's going through? And then of course, when he calls Veronica in to
Hmm.
see him, he had waited weeks, I think he said 3 or 4 weeks.
See, the thing is, you don't you pick up stuff. The older you get, the more you watch these movies, and we're all movie lovers here, so we
Right.
we we examine them more lots of times, especially for like if we're doing a show like this.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I watched, young as a kid, stuff like that, before I was getting into movies for YouTube and stuff, you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is cool. Where is this gonna go?
Right.
But then the first thing I thought of the last time I watched this is like, this is the first time she's seen him in this state. Like you said, like 2 weeks. He's
Yes.
basically just like, hey, what do you think? You know what I mean? He's like,
Right.
he thinks this is neat now.
Yeah.
She's disgusted. She pretty much
Mm-hmm.
knows he's a goner. She
Yes.
knows it's not going to end well, but he
Mm-hmm.
thinks this is a good thing, for lack of a better
Yes.
term, because he's like,
Mm-hmm.
look what we can learn. Again,
Mm-hmm.
he is in full scientist mode, and his
Absolutely.
obsession, is going to be his undoing. But he doesn't care. This is no longer a bad thing. He's like,
Right.
basically, it's like, what can I do next?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, he's going through these changes. He's getting worse, and then he's climbing the walls like Spider-Man, which, by the way, was a great effect. They used the same. I think it was the same rotating room that they used in Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yeah.
and that was just amazing, just to have that connection. But Kill, I want to
Mhm.
show you this. When Veronica finds out she's pregnant, that just took it to a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother universe. And just look,
Mhm.
Gina Davis, I kid you not, man. And you know this when I was a kid. Gina Davis was one of my favorite actresses. I mean, I still love her. I just wish you could see more of her in
Mm-hmm.
roles. But look at the look on her face, man. I mean, she goes back to him. He's he's what, two stages away from full fly mode, and she can't even come to tell him that she's pregnant because she's so in shock. She's so saddened. Take me through this scene here, man, because this is one of my favorite scenes when he's talking about insect politics. It's a great scene. I even got the quote somewhere here. I might even read it. But what how did this hit for you, this scene, Kill?
And it's like a gut punch, because she truly loves this man, but
Hmm.
she can see that it's like at the point of no return.
Yes.
She's
Hmm.
seen all these stages and she still has been with him,
Yes.
and trying to stay with him until he kind of says, hey, you got to stay away.
Hmm.
And then of course finding out she's pregnant, like you said, Knight, it
Hmm.
adds a whole nother level of sadness and
Hmm.
fear and the unknown. That's
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
and I love how Cronenberg and the writers did this. Both of these characters are facing the unknown.
Yes. Good point.
Okay. One
Excellent
of
point.
them with his own transformation, the other one with going through a life with this person not being there,
Hmm.
because they're probably going to become something else or they might die. And then, of course,
Yeah.
the life inside of her.
Mm-hmm.
What is that going to do to her? What is it
Hmm.
going to do to the unborn baby? Is the unborn
Hmm.
baby going to come out looking like a human baby with a fly head or so?
Oh, we
You
had
Yeah.
that
just
that
don't
wonderful
know.
dream sequence.
Yeah,
That was
I
going to come out looking like
mean,
that.
Yes.
yeah. I mean,
Right.
yeah, and once again, to pull it off, you have great directing, great cinematography, great score, and great acting.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ginger Ninja was saying, and of course, we know this to be true. The triple threat of the 80s, the Thing, the Blob, and the Fly, they really don't make them like that anymore. It's so true,
Very
man.
true.
It's so true. Hey to Lori's Tech Time. What's going on? She's saying hello.
Hello.
And Dan saying best scene ever. I think he's talking about the insect politics, which I want to jump back to that for a second. Um, and Lori's saying The Fly is a great movie. I actually watched The Fly 2 before I saw the first one. Both great. I totally agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great point. But Eric, the other thing about the insect politics was if you listen to it, it sounds so damn crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But basically, what he's talking about is the fact that, like he said, insects are brutal. We can't trust the insect. They have no remorse. They have no compassion. And Gina Davis, again, just perfect. I'm gonna throw it up here again. She's like, I don't understand what you're saying. And then it was such a sad moment, Eric, when he said, "What I'm saying is, I'm an insect who dreamt
Mm-hmm.
he was a man, and I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed that. But now
Mm-hmm.
the insect is here."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speechless. I'm
He
speechless.
he realized that Seth is gone. The
Yes.
man she loved, the man that she will be having a baby with is gone.
Yes.
Not just physically, mentally, everything. He's gone. There is no more
Hmm.
Seth.
Hmm.
And that's just like I don't know if it was Kill or you who said it's a gut punch. It really is when you realize that.
Hmm.
Because she's been with this guy through every single stage of his decomposition. She didn't leave. It's again, instead of like let's say get rid of like the drug addict analogy, let's say you're with a loved one who is sadly suffering from cancer. You're
Hmm.
watching them sadly
Hmm.
slowly fade away, but you're with them from beginning to end. And that's what she's doing. So again, that proves she could have left at any time. She
She
really
could
could
have.
have, but she
Staff
didn't.
has even said that. Staff has
Yeah,
said, "Don't go back."
yeah, she
You
could have
know.
left at any time. She didn't. She proved her love for him, but now
Hmm.
the man that she stayed for is gone, and he acknowledged that to her,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what's
And when
truly
he,
sad.
yeah, and when he said, he's talking about all this stuff, and then he's like, what I'm trying to say is, I'll hurt you if you stay here. And that music,
Hmm.
that swell of the music, and I was just like, whoa,
Because he knew that he was also trying to tell her go away.
get away.
That
Yeah.
was his. That
Yes.
was his warning. He's like, I basically,
Yes.
I love you as
Hmm.
well, but I
Hmm.
will hurt you. It's
Yep.
inevitable.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And as we head into the last bit of this kill, Stathis, like I said earlier, he starts to become a
Yeah.
positive character, almost heroic, because he's trying to help Veronica. He's trying to support her and also helping her to get the abortion, which of course Seth finds out about. And you have that fantastic scene where he jumps through the glass. I always that scene always got me,
Hmm.
even as a kid. It's just fantastic stuff. But that
Oh
sets
God,
up,
look at that.
yeah, that sets up the finale here, Kill. I mean, what were you thinking? I mean, you said that usually the good guy can find a way. He found a way to possibly fix this, but it meant
Mhm.
we know what it was going to mean. What did you think about that and how it played out and how Stathis came to the rescue?
There's a term that, and I think you'll remember. It's from the GI Joe cartoon movie. He went Snake House. All right, like
Yes.
because he's it's one of those things where the person who's saying these things truly thinks they're making sense,
Yes.
and just the way he looks, he's physically scaring Gina Davis, Ronnie,
Hmm.
and she's like, "All right, you look really bad, you look worse, and
Hmm.
I'm not understanding you. Is this the fly mind,
Hmm.
or is this still Seth's mind?"
Right. Hmm.
And he's saying things like, "We can be together, and
We
I
can be a
love
family
you," and
more
we
human than I ever
yeah.
could be alone.
Yeah, and it's like, and then us as the viewer, I guess I can only speak for myself. Now it's getting to the point where I'm like, no, you need to go. You need to
Hmm.
Yeah.
you're
Hmm.
now, because the way you're talking, you
Crossing the line.
kind of it. Thank you,
Yeah.
exactly. You're crossing a line, and like you said, Knight, that just raises Stannis' stock, because now, hey,
Yes.
you come to me. You want to live? You want to live? Here, come to me.
He would have
and
brought that
he
up too.
and he took
Yeah.
one for the team, and
Hmm.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
just
he
a
did.
great kind of turn.
Oof.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Look, man, look. Once again, Cronenberg is just like, oh, you thought the movie was over? Nah, I still got
Nothing.
one more for you.
Oh, and he
Right?
set us up with that scene with the vomit earlier that we talked about. So we knew
Yes.
that was.
Yeah.
If you know David Cronenberg, he's not going to put in a disgusting scene about acid vomit and
Hmm.
when not to sound disgusting. Well, come on, we talk about gore all the time on the show, but in the
Hmm.
scene where we learned about the acid vomit, you just hear it. You don't see, well, you
Yes.
see it. You see him
Yeah.
initially, but you don't see it melting and everything. So we know
Yes.
Cronenberg's going to show us this by the end of the
That's right.
movie.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Whew.
Originally in the movie, they were gonna have they were gonna have even more brutality in this movie. He was actually gonna use the vomit drop on I think it was like a homeless lady or something like that. But they nixed that idea. But yeah, this scene was just friggin' brutal,
And
man.
look at the
I
smile on
mean,
his face after he did it.
yeah. Yep. He definitely is going snake house, man. But of course, Veronica, again, Veronica to the rescue. Shout out forever to Gina Davis because she saved Stathis, no doubt about that. And at this point in the movie, when I first saw it, I'm like, well, maybe there's some type of hope. But then when he tells her plan and she's like, no, and she's wrestling away from him. And guys, you know what picture I'm gonna put up here? The final transition, man. And then that's Kill. Do you remember when Mom watched this? Do you remember?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Do you remember her disgust at this part? It was
Yeah.
like, what? So like seriously, man, this movie, it's amazing what they were able to do with practical effects, man.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
really
yeah.
was.
Look at
It was amazing.
his final form is probably one of my favorite looking, other than Pumpkinhead. Those are my two favorite, non-alien, non-predator looking movie monsters. I mean, the
Yeah,
Brundlefly
yeah.
is just a fantastic design.
It is
Hmm.
fantastic, man. And he's definitely all in on this plan to use Veronica and the baby. That's the
Hmm.
thing too. He knows it includes the baby to fuse them into one being so he can become human again. And like I said, man, it's rough and Stathis Borans, right? I mean, who would
Yep.
have thought? I mean, seriously, he basically saves the day. But
Hmm.
just to throw this out to you guys, he shoots the pod, so that deactivates the one that Gina Davis is in. But Seth is in the second pod. They're supposed to come out into the third together. But obviously, Seth breaks out of his pod or starts to. Did you guys have any idea what was to come after, at this point when you first saw the movie? Because I had no clue. I thought maybe he just got teleported to the other one himself, but that's not what happened. I mean,
Mm-mm.
I mean, like, wow, it's like you can take something and make it even worse.
Hmm.
Would you seriously? What would you think about that, Kel? Who would have thought he would got fused with part of the pod?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't see that coming.
No, me
But
No.
neither.
but but once again, man, like Cronenberg, he's like, I still got a few more minutes left. I got one
Yes.
more transformation. I got Brundlefly cross transfer, whatever
Teleport.
transmorpher teleport.
Hmm.
Yes, teleport. Oh my goodness! Once again, like you said, making something look bad, making it look worse, and making it look as just. Oh, and this is a sad scene here.
Yeah.
It was, man.
Oh man, yeah,
Well, we had to
that's
talk
all I
about
got.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
Eric, I'll let you take this one, man. Gina Davis, again,
Ah.
as much as Jeff Goldblum was amazing in this
Hmm.
movie for so much of the movie, and Gina was too, but this might have been one of the most gut-wrenching endings of a movie. And
Hmm.
Gina Davis, one of these days, I don't know when, if possible, but I would have loved to have played just this part itself. The wailing that she did, it felt real, man. It really did. She did not want to do this. And she said she can't do it. She put the
Hmm.
gun down, and then he grabbed it and put it to his head and even did that moan. He kind of looked up at her. Oh, go ahead,
It,
man.
it, it, it,
Oof.
like I said, this is I hate to say it's my favorite scene, but it's so good because of all these elements. You have
Yes,
Gina, Ronnie. This was the man she loved. Like we keep going back to it. This is what I mean. It's a love story from
yes.
beginning, from the flirtation to sadly the very end. Okay.
Hmm.
She knows what she has to do. She
Yes,
doesn't want to do it. And then what I think about this is, he talked about, insect politics, Seth's gone, the fly is here. When Brundlefly grabs the shotgun and
hmm,
puts the barrel to his head, that's Seth coming back.
yes,
Seth
yes,
is begging her
yes,
to end it. She
hmm,
knows that. She knows
yes,
I have to do it. It's gonna get worse if I don't.
yes,
I'll be all alone. And then again, you're you have to. She has to kill her loved one,
hmm,
and you buy this, and that's why I think the relationship between Ronnie and Seth is so good, and the fact that Goldblum and Davis were married, that was a fantastic casting decision. because you could buy them. You bought her emotion
Yes.
100% in this scene. And
Yep.
then after she takes him out, lack of a better term, it just ends.
It just ends.
It just
Yes.
ends.
Hmm.
It's kind of like I just watched An American Werewolf in London the other night. It's
Hmm.
kind of like after David's taken out,
Yes. Good point.
the nurse sees his human body, and
Hmm.
then boom,
Boom. Just cut the
credits.
black. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, it's a little cheesy with Blue Moon playing and stuff like that,
Yes.
but tone wise, it's the
Yeah.
same thing. We don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And if we wouldn't have gotten Fly 2, which
Hmm.
I still say is severely underrated,
I
Yeah.
agree. I
we
agree.
don't know what would have happened to Ronnie. Was she going to have a normal baby? Was she going to have that maggot baby? You know what I mean?
Right. Hmm.
It just leaves everything for interpretation. And then again, watch it the second time. This movie, watch it the second time. You know what's happening, and it doesn't change anything, or unless
Hmm.
it makes you even more sad, because now you
Yes.
know what they're going to go through, and then how it sadly ends.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It's
Absolutely.
one of the
Yeah.
most. We've the three of us and everyone in the chat. We've seen thousands of movies. This
Hmm.
is one of the most memorable sad ending I can think of. It's one of the. If you would have told me today, what's one of the saddest movie endings I've seen, this would have been boom right there. First one I would have
Yeah.
thought of, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah. It stays with you, after
Hmm.
the credits are rolling, and again you hear that fantastic score by Howard Shore. It's still sinking in,
Hmm.
even after all these years. Even, I mean, I've seen this movie more than I could count, you know what I'm saying? But it's still, because it's so powerful, it's so well done. The execution is basically flawless. It sticks with you, man. Like, even talking about it right now, it's like I can feel, the energy of that movie, and it's
Yeah,
fantastic.
the credits roll, and you just like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And look who we have in the chat. Coriander is saying, I loved how Blue Moon played at the end of An American Werewolf in London.
Now
Yes, you did.
I wasn't trashing that Blue Moon played. I was
Yes.
just saying
The
how
comedic
it
tone.
exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Well, John Landis,
Hmm. He still
much different director than David Cronenberg for
a little
sure.
bit, yeah.
Yeah. But great in his own way too, of course, because
Hmm.
I love American Werewolf in London. But guys, look, first of all, she's laughing about it. You gotta love Coriander. Um, but for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching the replay, I mean, it goes without saying, we absolutely love this movie. And I know some of you guys in the chat, we didn't get to everyone, but thanks for being here, Barnabas and Ginger Ninja and Steven. Um, if you haven't seen this movie in a while, watch it. It's so good. If you've never seen it, watch it. It is
Get the
really
wife
one
and
of.
kids in there, make some popcorn.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if you want any food
It's the
while
perfect
you're
date
watching
movie,
it,
right?
right? But I mean, it is one of the best
Hmm.
movies in the genre. It
Yep.
really
Yeah.
is, from A to Z. Like everything about it was just top notch, top shelf. Um, but yeah, for you guys in the chat watching the replay, please give the video a like. It would help support the channel. We'd really appreciate it. We're really appreciative of all the support we've been getting, and we're gonna keep doing this stuff. I also want to thank Eric as always for spending time with us. You're just such a good friend to the channel, good friend outside of the channel.
My pleasure,
Um,
man.
these are always fun to do with you, man. And I do have Eric's channel link in the description. Please, if you are watching this episode, if you enjoy this conversation, if you enjoy this discussion, go check out Eric's channel. He's got tons of content. He's been doing this for a long time. And what I always liked about watching his stuff, and I still haven't seen nearly enough of, because you've got so many videos on your channel, man.
Yeah.
But the thing I love about his content is it's just a nice, comfortable conversation. And I just love that. I really do. So,
Well,
anyways,
thank you. I appreciate that.
absolutely, man.
It's like I said, it started as a fun hobby, and like I said, I love the people I've met, and shameless plug. I'm jumping into the Alien franchise. I just a couple days ago I
Yeah.
uploaded Alien. Today I
Yes.
uploaded Aliens. So next week I'll be doing 3 in Resurrection. I'm just doing the Ripley ones for now. But and then like Knight says, since I have so much content, it's easier. Just click on the playlists. I have franchises, and you can just go from there. But it's fun. It's like this stream. How it's just me talking, saying what I like, what I don't like. I try to find the good and the bad, but you know what? I'm not here. I don't rant. You know what I mean? I think YouTube rants. Lots of times you can tell they're kind of forced and fake.
Yep.
If I don't like a movie, I'm going to say it, but I'm not going to, F this, F that, this is dumb. It's just, it's water cooler talk. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
That's what I think YouTube should be. I like a lot of movies that you don't, Killian doesn't, Coriander doesn't, but we can all agree we can have civil conversation. And that's what I honestly think is sadly, not just in the world, but on YouTube is missing. I mean, Jason Goes to Hell. I love it. You guys don't, but we can have that civil conversation on our disagreements about the worms and everything. You know what I mean?
That's right. Absolutely, man. I totally agree,
I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I mean them. And that's the cool thing too. I mean, we've been able to, really develop, a friendship, and like I said, you're a person that I really trust. Not only now just in YouTube, but outside of YouTube as well. So, and I really appreciate you too.
Same here, bud.
And Barnabas just says that he subbed Eric's channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate that, man.
Hope you like what
really,
you see.
Really do. Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, guys, we're going to jump out of here, but definitely The Fly is a masterpiece. Check it out. I'm still so pumped up about it. Our game plan is to talk about The Fly 2 next week. And yeah, that's going to be a fun conversation as well, because it's a different type of movie in a way, but there's some things that it does that was really like, okay, wow, this is really, really good. So that should be a fun conversation as well. So anyways, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Cheers.
Peace.